Welcome back guys to VoiceyHere and another r/EntitledParents. Don't forget Voicey veterans to like, subscribe and hit that bell to never miss an episode. This story was called Hunting EDs. The things people go to get an elk is just sickening. I love hunting. Only started 5 years ago, but I have yet to get an elk and now I'm not sure if I want to. This is all happening in Montana. I was there as mostly a pack mule, but stayed out of the nonsense. Mike was really our star player, and relayed a lot of the convo back to me. There's two separate stories that happened back to back. Mike is a family friend. ED1, entitled Dad in the first story. ET, entitled Teen Boy. There were about 5 ET, but one stood out as the douchiest. ED2, the dad in the second story. And EK, snot-nosed little child. The background. 85% of elk hunting I've seen is done by sitting on state land that borders private land and waiting for the elk to hop the fence over to state land, where it can legally be hunted. This leads to huge groups of people sitting around a private plot and waiting. Some groups will work the elk into a corner of state land and gun down the whole herd. It's revolting, but easy elk meat. Mike and I were waiting at a decent spot on a hill where we had some tree coverage and a log to sit on. There was a herd on private land that were watching very closely. One decent bull elk hopped the fence. Mike waited to take the shot until it was more on public land. If you injure an elk and it runs back onto private land, the owner of that land can claim your elk. The elk finally moved into our sweet spot. Mike fired and obviously hit the bull. He didn't go down all the way, but took a few steps before laying down. Once the elk started laying down, we see this group of teenagers run out to the bull, and ET shoots it in the head. Mike was obviously livid and marched down to yell at the kids. The ED started yelling at Mike to leave his kid alone. They argue for some time about who gets to tag the elk. Mike put the elk down, but ET claimed the kill shot. There were the typical, "You don't deserve it because you only injured it," and "My angel should take it because he earned it." But that's standard when dealing with entitlement. Mike was greatly outnumbered and let it go. The teens destroyed the elk's skull, and the shouting match along with the extra gunfire scared off the rest of the elk. We pack out to move locations, just absolutely ticked off at the audacity of some people. We get to our next location. Similar setup, wide open state land just waiting for the elk to hop the fence. Mike sees another bigger elk. He fires and a half a second later there is another shot. 2 people shot at the same elk. The elk went immediately down, so there was no question it was dead. When we get to the elk, the ED2 meets us there. We find there is only one bullet in the elk. Now Mike's gun makes a pretty big hole, and this was indeed a large hole in this elk. ED2 brings EK, who is maybe 12, but likely younger. EK has a much smaller rifle than Mike's. I went down to the elk with Mike for this one.
Way to go, EK! You got your first elk!
Sorry, but there's no way this little rifle made that hole. That rifle probably wouldn't even take down an elk.
I did! You obviously missed!
No, that's bullcrap. You're not taking my elk. They argue with name calling, etc., while I check the elk for any other holes or signs that made any contact on the elk. But there was none, just a huge hole, ruining a bunch of meat.
Come on man, let EK have it. It's his first elk. And he did shoot. How do you know he didn't hit it?
Because of the big hole in the elk? Seriously, that rifle would not have had that kind of impact. I don't care man, that's not cool. Mike used some other choice words to which the ED used some of his own. EK decided to rock paper scissors for it. Finally, Mike decided to rock paper scissors the kid for the elk. Mike won, and the kid started bawling. The ED2 yelled some more about how we stole an elk from a kid. We should be ashamed of ourselves. The entitled kid kicked the elk as Mike was putting his tag on it. I chased the kid off and the ED started to come after me, but I stood my ground with my rifle in my hands. Not pointed at him, but he got the message I was sending. We quartered and hauled the elk out, and I decided that I'd much rather hike a mountain, and maybe I'll stumble upon an elk. It's a much more pleasant experience, though less guarantee. I don't know if you were as equally paranoid, but I'm just like, somebody's gonna get shot during this story, aren't they? This story was called Give Us Your Birthday Money. It's only fair. Before I start, this is basically the only time these two turned entitled. I had no idea where it came from, and it surprised me, since they never acted this way before. They're both genuinely good people, except in this one moment. Anyway, here's the cast. entitled Friend 1, 2, Birthday Girl, and me. So it was BG's birthday, and she decided to have a dinner at a nice restaurant to celebrate. And at the time, I recently got $100 from my grandmother for my birthday a couple weeks prior. This bit's important, and I very rarely ever hold on to that much money at once, so I wanted to make it stretch. So I spent around $15 on nothing but Starbursts for Birthday Girl. I didn't really know BG at the time, and I had no idea what she liked or what she wanted, so I thought everybody likes candy. EF1 and 2 picked me up from my house with my little goodie bag filled to the brim with Starbursts. We start driving to the mall so EF1 and 2 could get BG something. They went to Spencer's and got nerdy t-shirts and lanyards, a mug, and a poster, totaling around $60. They wanted to get a birthday card, but the ones at Spencer's were too inappropriate, as BG's parents would be at the birthday dinner too. So EF1 decided she could go by Safeway and get a birthday card. When we got to the store, EF1 and 2 went down the aisles while I stayed near the front. I found a rack filled with Amazon gift cards and thought to get myself one while I'm here to get a book or something online. I picked one $25 one and proceeded to the line waiting. When EF1 and EF2 got back, they returned with more than a card. Chocolates, balloons, party hats, confetti shooters, plastic necklaces. They had all that in their hands and they stood in line and joined. They noticed I had an Amazon card and asked me why I got it. I explained to them that I was thinking about getting myself a book online. That's when it went downhill.
Oh, well, since you're getting that, then you can get this stuff for BG too.
What? No, I can't afford all that stuff you got. Yeah, you can. I know you got $100 from your grandmother. You can easily pay the $20 for this stuff. It wasn't $20, it was nearly $50. That's my birthday money. And I already spent some on my gift for BG.
You spent what, like $10? Come on, we spent nearly $50, it's only fair.
The difference between us is that she didn't really pay for it herself. Her parents gave her the money almost any time she wanted. Mine aren't like that. You have to work for money in my family, and that's if my parents had any work to offer. I start to get frustrated since they weren't taking no for an answer. I can pay for the card, but I can't get all this other stuff. That's just too much.
Dude, you're seriously not being a good friend right now.
Excuse me? Just pay for the stuff. No, I don't want to spend half of my money like this.
Dude, how do you think we feel? You spent little compared to us.
Okay, you guys can pay for this yourself. I said no. I continued down the line and started to purchase it as they left the line in a huff, questioning whether they should buy it themselves or not. As I paid with cash, EF spoke. You're seriously not gonna buy this? She said it like I did something wrong, and I snapped at her. Enough! I'm done talking about this. Me yelling at her kind of made the cashier nervous, so I calmed myself down as I finished paying. I walked out the store and waited for them. They ended up buying it themselves and walked out the store, kind of ignoring the walk to the restaurant since it's close by. But the kicker here, BG absolutely loved my gift, because she can almost never get candy since her parents put her on a strict diet. She wasn't really overweight, so I was kind of heartbroken by that fact. And BG liked the gift EF1 and EF2 got her, but she didn't really show it as much, which was kind of sad as well, because they did pay for it and went out of their way to get her a bunch of stuff. I thought after the altercation, if it was bad that I got myself something when they were birthday shopping, and I'm still not sure if that's taboo, so I'll let you guys decide if I was in the wrong. And after this, EF1 and I are still best friends and stuff, but I rarely talk to EF2 anymore. I think when you're a teenager and you don't have much money, you don't have much spare time, you probably don't have much independence to go out to where you want when you want. I don't think it's that unreasonable to, in that moment, buy the stuff from your birthday gift that you wanted, because you probably don't know necessarily when you're going to get the chance to buy it again. Perhaps as you get older that becomes more of a taboo, like if your intention shopping is to buy for someone else and then you just start spending all your time buying for you. Depending on the context, yeah, that's probably a bit more awkward. This story was called EF Demands to be Seen Without an Appointment, while AS just looks on embarrassed. I work as the lead assistant in the office that handles university withdrawals. The following is an encounter I had with an entitled father about his son, who is in college. EF is entitled father, EM entitled mother. She didn't say a word, but I want to mention she was there too. AS, adult son, BS, my boss. Hey, how can I help you?
Hi, yes, we're here to withdraw my son from his classes this semester.
Sure thing, you're in the right place. Do you have an appointment set up?
No, we don't. That would have been something we'd have liked to know ahead of time.
Like you can't call ahead and check? Okay, well, I can schedule one for you. The reason we schedule is because our full-time staff like to take the time to talk to students one-on-one to go over any potential implications and resources that might be available to them.
That's unacceptable. I'm an alumni.
To EM and AS.
I might have to make some phone calls to get somebody in trouble because this is outrageous.
I can see what I can do, but I can't make any promises. Everybody is booked solid for the rest of the day.
That's much better.
I walked back to my boss, whose door was open so she could hear the whole exchange from the start. I'll go ahead and meet with them. You sure? Yeah, it's fine. I mean, I'm supposed to be on lunch, but whatever. Me, as I'm leaving, sarcastically and whispered, yeah, he's gonna make some phone calls. Sure, right. Just because you're an alumni, they'll listen to whatever you say. She almost spits out her coffee as we shared a silent laugh. We see this crap too often working in student services, where parents try to pull all sorts of crap, when in most cases, we legally can't talk to them about their kid. FERPA is a thing, guys. Okay, so it looks like we can squeeze you in.
That's better.
So I started talking to the kid. Okay, so we're gonna need you to fill out some paperwork. Fill out what's in the box here, the Scranton on the next page, and read and sign the back 2 pages. If you don't feel comfortable signing something till the meeting, that's completely fine. Alright, thanks. I should note he looked mildly annoyed with his father the entire time, especially when he started talking about what's next.
Yeah, don't read anything until we read it over and meet with them.
That's how they get you.
Literally, if you sign something but aren't sure if you want to proceed, we put it in pending and do not touch it until you reach out to continue, or it's after a deadline and we destroy it. We never go through with it. Our school has nothing to gain by booting people from the class when we already have your money. After a minute, the father starts again.
He's a smart kid. He's having a hard time adjusting. We've been sent to other offices for what he's dealing with. He's smart, but his anxiety and mental stuff keeps him from getting out of bed some days.
I understand, sir. We have resources on campus for things like that. The counseling and testing center is just across campus, and the first few visits are free before they charge on a sliding scale.
Well, we had one department or somebody tell us that he has to work everything out with his professors.
At this point, I pick up that there's something else going on, so I try to help by probing a little bit. Well, if you feel comfortable, you can tell me a little bit about what's going on and I can direct you into the right offices. EF comes back up to my desk.
Well, he has high-functioning autism. He can't focus in his classes and that contributes to his anxiety about going to classes and it's hurting him. He's really smart and he does well at everything, but it's just a battle.
Okay, now I get it. Yeah, he approached it a lot more blunt and rude than need be, and still kinda had a rude tone, but I could tell he was just trying to help his kid. Well, there's the ODA office, Office of Disability and Accommodation, in the same building as us. They're just at the opposite end of it, last office on the right. There they can work with students for alternative testing places and advocacy with instructors, pending the appropriate documentation they require.
Oh, we didn't know about that. I mean, that kind of thing just used to be called gifted and talented, you know? Because he's smart.
Of course, sir. They would just be the best office to speak to about this sort of thing. Eventually, my boss calls kid and family back. They have a really long meeting that takes up the rest of my boss's lunch. And honestly, she's overworked as in her position. As they're leaving, he said thank you for the help, and the kid looked at me like he felt bad about how his dad acted. I see that face a ton with students whose parents come down super hard for no reason. Confrontation with parents always makes me a little nervous, but I had been with this office since 2016 when I started college, and I've had to deal with a lot of angry parents over the years. Heck, my other boss who I've been here longer than even told me she's glad I'm the lead assistant now, because she hears me up there dealing with them. I know how much information I can give before it's something above my pay grade, and I always know just who to direct things to, because if we bothered them with every little question, they'd never get anything done. But this one, while the dad definitely was entitled, after he calmed down a little, I could tell it was from a genuine place of concern. That, I'm an alumni, maybe I'll make a few phone calls, bit is what struck a nerve with me. I've got a million of these working at a university, but they're so common I tend to forget a lot of them. Entitlement can come about for many reasons. Maybe they were raised by an entitled parent themselves. Maybe they've had a hard life. Maybe they feel like they're just trying to protect their kid. Perhaps it's just an expression of the evil within themselves. But whatever the reason is, it's never justified to treat other people unkindly. Post your stories, memes, and fan art at r/VoiceyHere. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode. Alright, Voicey veterans, I'll see you in the next one.